So the Rose coach in Unrivaled finally decided to play Lexie Hull. Lexie Hull actually saw the floor.
Picture this, you're Lexie Hull. You've played a total of 8 minutes in 2 games. Your team is struggling and has 0 wins. You're watching from the sidelines as Angel Reese hogs the spotlight, forcing her way to get double-doubles. Then, suddenly, you get your shot, and you absolutely demolish it with a 19-point performance, taking over and leading your team to their first win. Lexie Hull goes 8 for 11 from the field and has 19 points, 3 assists, and 3 boards, 19, 3, and 3. She was the top scorer. This isn't just a comeback story. It's a tale of perseverance, strategy, and the sweet taste of vindication. Lexie Hull just showed everyone what happens when you prioritize talent over stat padding and why her success might be the key to unlocking the Rose Basketball Club's potential. What exactly did she do to put Angel Reese in her place? Are you ready? Let's go. Lexie Hull is really stepping up. She barely played those first 2 games, and I don't think she did anything wrong. I even said at the time that it was just the style of play their coach was trying to implement that didn't suit Lexie Hull. Remember when Lexie Hull was practically invisible on the court for the Rose Basketball Club? Yeah, that actually happened.
And what happened when Lexie Hull played more than 4 minutes? Oh, the Rose win?
Let's rewind to those first 2 Unrivaled games where Hull rode the bench. She played a grand total of 8 minutes. That's right, 8 whole minutes across 2 entire games. You know what's even crazier? While Hull was warming the bench, her team was racking up losses like there was no tomorrow. The Rose Basketball Club started the season with 0 wins and 2 losses, and Hull could do nothing but watch. Talk about frustrating. Imagine going from Christy Side's coaching, where she doesn't really want to play you, and no matter what you do on the court, it doesn't matter because your coach doesn't want to play you. Then eventually your coach figures it out and starts playing you 30 minutes a game, and your team gets better. Here's the thing. Hull isn't some random player trying to find her footing. She's a proven 3-point shooter with serious defensive chops. In the previous WNBA season, Hull's 3-point shooting percentage put her among the top players in the league. She's got the skills to pay the bills, but for some reason, she was left riding the pine. Lexie Hull hardly played, and it was all within the flow of whatever offense you were running on Unrivaled. Also, she's obviously a really freaking good defender. So, what gives?
And Lexie Hull goes 8 for 11 from the field and has 19 points, 3 assists, and 3 boards.
Why was a player of Hull's caliber getting practically 0 playing time? Something wasn't adding up, and fans were starting to notice. They were scratching their heads, wondering why Hull's defensive prowess wasn't being utilized when the team clearly needed a spark. This is where it gets interesting. While Hull was glued to the bench, her teammates were struggling to find their rhythm. Multiple players were scoring in double digits, but it wasn't translating to wins. The offense looked clunky, and the defense had more holes than a slice of Swiss cheese, as we've seen from Melissa Thomas. The point guards and point forwards who were doing well weren't really running pick-and-roll plays. It was the ones who were sharing the rock and hitting cutters, hitting 3-point plays. It's not about the pick-and-roll, especially when you can push the floor and run. Athleticism is the most important thing, and here's the reality. Even with her limited playing time, Hull was making waves. Fans and commentators couldn't help but notice her lockdown defense during those few precious minutes she was on the floor. It was like watching a highlight reel and fast-forward, blink, and you'd miss her impact. The frustration was palpable. Teammates were grumbling. Fans were tweeting their discontent. Hull, well, as always, was a team player and a professional.
People are saying, oh, she should have never went to Unrivaled. I still think, look, she's getting paid, 100 and something K, at least. Could be paid up to $250,000.
Everyone seemed to agree. Hull deserved more time on the court. I think Lexie Hull is going to have a solid Unrivaled season. Thankfully, she's stepping up, and I didn't think she did anything wrong in her first 2 games when she was on the floor. The coach just didn't fit her. She didn't fit the coach's system. Thankfully, the Rose switched it up a bit, and they won. So, how did Lexie Hull go from bench warmer to game changer in just one night? That's the million-dollar question. Was it a change in strategy? Did the coach finally see the light? Or did Hull make some sort of deal with the basketball gods? We'll break it down in a bit. But first, why was she even benched to begin with? She's back to mid-season form. She really is absolutely delivering on that double-double points, rebounds, and of course losses, just in the same way that the Chicago sky melted last year when her double-double streak started. She cost her team a game. Remember when we were all wondering why Lexie Hull was warming the bench? Well, it turns out she might just be the secret weapon the Rose Basketball Club needed all along. Let's break down why Hull's game is practically tailor-made for the 3-on-3 format and Unrivaled. First things first, 3-on-3 basketball is a whole different beast compared to the traditional 5-on-5 game. With fewer players on the court, there's a ton more space to work with. This isn't just about having room to breathe, it's about creating opportunities. The pace is faster, the action is more intense, and every player needs to be a threat on both ends of the court. People are saying, oh, she should have never gone to Unrivaled. I still think, look, she's getting paid, what, 100-something K? It could be as much as $250,000. She's everywhere, and it's going to help her out. She drew the short straw with her team. The way the coach wants them to play is just not the way Lexie Hull is good. Now, let's talk about Lexie Hull. You know she's a sharpshooter, right? In 3-on-3. That's like bringing a flamethrower to a water balloon fight. With all that extra space on the court, players who can knock down threes and cut to the basket consistently become absolute nightmares for the defense. Hull, she's not just good, she's been among the WNBA's best when it comes to draining shots from beyond the arc. But Hull's game isn't just about offense. In 3-on-3, your defensive skills are put under a microscope. There's nowhere to hide when you're the only one guarding your opponent. This is where Hull really shines. Her lockdown defense is the kind of thing that gives opposing players nightmares. In a format where one-on-one matchups can make or break a game, Hull's defensive prowess is like having a secret weapon. Not only that, she's been good. The problem isn't that Lexie Hull has been garbage, she's actually played well. The weirdest thing is that she's actually played well and their team lost again. You want to know what's even crazier? This isn't Hull's first rodeo with 3-on-3 basketball. She's been there, done that, and got the medals to prove it. Hull has represented Team USA in international 3-on-3 competitions, bringing home some serious hardware. That experience? It's priceless. She knows the ins and outs of this format, and it shows in her play. Still not convinced? Take a look around the league. Players like Kayla McBride and Kate Martin are tearing it up for the LA Basketball Club. What do they have in common with Hull? They're all deadly from long range. These players are proving, game after game, that in 3-on-3, a good three-point shooter is worth their weight in gold. And we saw Kate Martin have one of the best performances of the weekend with a double-double at the guard position, off the bench in limited minutes. Unbelievable. So, why is Lexie Hull playing style perfect for 3-on-3 basketball? It's simple. She's got the complete package. Her sharp shooting keeps defenses honest and spreads the floor, creating opportunities for her teammates. Her lockdown defense means she can shut down the opposition's best player, and her experience in the format means she knows exactly how to maximize her skills in this unique style of play. So, how did she apply all this in their latest game? Well, for Lexie Hull at least, now they're stopping the constant pick and rolls. That was the worst part about it. All the offense had to be a pick and roll. The only players really scoring were Azealia and Angel, who got some shots in. At least this game was good today. This game really was good today. The stage was set for a showdown against the Miss Basketball Club. The Rose, still searching for their first win, decided it was time to shake things up. And boy, did they ever. Gone were the days of slow, plodding offense and pick-and-roll heavy sets. In their place, a high-octane strategy focused on fast movement and sharp cuts. It was like watching a completely different team, and at the center of it all, Lexie Hull finally unleashed. A brick from Chelsea Gray, an offensive rebound, and Vandersloot. It's all from hustle plays, cutting, spotting up. A cut from Chelsea Gray hitting her off-ball movement. That was really nice. Lexie Hull posting up Courtney Vandersloot. I stand by it. I thought at the start Courtney Vandersloot was going to be the worst player in Unrivaled. She's not, but she's very poor. Let's talk about those 19 points in just 10 minutes. That's not a typo, folks. Hull wasn't just good. She was on another level entirely. But here's where it gets really interesting. 14 of those points came from driving to the hoop. This wasn't the Lexie Hull we thought we knew. This was Lexie Hull 2.0, attacking the basket with a ferocity that left defenders in her wake. Lexie Hull was doing a little bit of everything, but a lot of it was her off-ball movement. A good screen by Brittany Sykes, a nice left-handed finish there. Of course, she didn't completely abandon her bread and butter. Those other 5 points, pure Hull magic from beyond the arc and the free throw line. It was like watching a perfect blend of her old strengths and newfound aggression. They struggled to live with Lexie Hull just as far as her cutting. It was just cuts, hustle plays. She was doing a lot of little things. She didn't do anything crazy, but she made 1 or 2 decent drives. She made a really good cut. It just shows how much off-the-ball movement matters. Now, let's put this performance into perspective. Hull's efficiency was off the charts. She had the highest point total on the team despite playing limited minutes. And while we're on the subject of limited minutes, let's talk about Angel Reese for a second. Remember her? The one who was supposed to be the star of this show. Well, Angel Reese had a horrific game, like a terrible, terrible game. Well, Reese's stat line tells a different story. 4 points in 8 minutes, 3 turnovers, and 4 fouls. That's right, she spent most of the game watching from the bench. Talk about a role reversal. But this isn't just about Hull outshining Reese. It's about how her performance lifted the entire team. With Hull leading the charge, the Rose found their rhythm. The new offensive strategy clicked, creating space and opportunities that simply weren't there before. And just like that, the Rose Basketball Club had their first win in Unrivaled. So, what does this mean moving forward? For starters, it raises some serious questions about Hull's previous lack of playing time. If she can put up these kinds of numbers in just 10 minutes, imagine what she could do with more time on the court. It's clear that Hull isn't just a role player, she's a potential game changer. So, why was Hull benched during those first 2 games? You know who wasn't riding the pine during those first 2 games? Angel Reese. But here's a wild thought. What if her presence on the court was actually hurting the Rose Basketball Club? Yeah, not a good day at the office for Angel Reese. Let's break it down. In the first 2 Unrivaled games, Reese was putting up double-doubles. Not too shabby, right? But guess what? Those stats didn't translate into wins. The Rose Basketball Club started the season with 2 big fat losses. Something wasn't adding up. You can imagine missed layups from last night. Man, what is really going on here? You see that and then right? Whatever that is, I don't even know what that was. One more time. Oh my God. I'm going to drive to the basket. Then I'm going to mess the ball up. No layups. Whatever that is, we don't know what that is. They haven't identified exactly what the hell that is. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, are those even real double-doubles? And you'd be right, especially with all the hype around Reese's stat padding. Talk about a letdown. The Rose did win, though, which is all that matters. But like I said, I think it's reached the stage now where even though I don't think Reese is the worst player in Unrivaled, she is the worst player on the Rose Basketball Club.